Hello. Um, so we're gonna start by starting a new, not a new character, but working on a character set that I've been working on for like a month. And I have an echo. So, okay, sorry about that. I have muted. Forgot about that. Normally I stream on Twitch, but I wanted to do something a little different. And so we're going to stream here. I'm going to talk about how I set up my characters, and we're going to work on one. So I make a set of cat adventurers for D&D called the Adventure Cats, and I sell the STL files. I also have my cats here with me. They will probably interrupt this. They'll probably interrupt everything. But I made a base mesh, and I start with the base mesh that I made, and I'm not going to talk about how I made it. I might do that at a later point. But I usually start with a base mesh, and we'll open up the male one. And this is a cat that's based off of the Oriental Shorthair. And I also have a female version. It's the same mesh, I just mushed it into female and male shape, and that's a thing. Wait, what's a thing? Spoons. Hey Spoons, what's going on? For some weird reason, YouTube had the chat like hidden, like I had to hit a button to see it. I don't know. It was kind of weird. Can you hear me okay? Oh, cats interrupting me is a thing. Yes, that is a thing. That's a thing that happens. That's correct. So anyway, I've already made the barbarians, the artificers, the druids, and just recently finished the bards up yesterday. So, okay, cool. Thanks, Spoons. So this is what one of those characters ends up looking like. This is our bard female. She's playing a mouth organ I can't pronounce the name of, but it sounds really cool. Excuse me. And let's see. But anyway, so I have all those, and I rolled a die earlier because like I don't ever know what I'm gonna work on. I can't make decisions, so we leave it up to randomization. So I rolled a 2 and a 13, which my list, which I did not bring over here, of course, is the rogue and the paladin. And normally I go through and I pre-design in 2D, paper doll style, what all my designs are gonna look like. Not the poses, I do that later, and that's always a struggle. I need to figure out a better way to do that. But if we go and I open up my rogue design, rogue, I have the male one too. Male one. And then, you know, I'm not really happy with my paladin designs, honestly. So I might work on those later. I think it's just the hats, honestly. I don't know if the hat's gonna work. Right, like they're a heavier plate. I don't know if a big bucket style helmet's gonna look good. So I don't know. I'm leaning more toward, I mean, I can always make it without the helm. I could always try a different kind of helm. But then, you know, I got the rogues. That will be a lot easier to make, honestly. I could probably finish one of these in the stream. Because I'm probably only going to be live for 2 hours. And we'll see how that goes. So I think we'll start with the female rogue. I think that's what we'll do, and then we'll do paladins next, later on, like next week. So we'll do the rogue. So I'm gonna open up. I'm going to open up the texture in ZBrush using the spotlight tool. There is other software that does this that I cannot remember. You do get custom. Anyway, if you don't have I cannot remember the name of the software, but if you don't have any software that puts images on an overlay permanently, like on top of what you're supposed to, like what you're working on, I just go into texture and I go into import and I find the image that I want to work on. In this case, it's going to be my Hisani rogue female. Yeah, I guess so. But a magazine, that's going to cost you monthly. Like, that's a thing. So then once you've imported it, you click on the little thumbnail here to put it in the big box. And then you hit this plus and minus thing. This is plus and minus, add to spotlight button. And it's gonna give you this big old wheel with a bunch of buttons on it that honestly is kind of cumbersome. And but the button you're probably looking for is the scale one, which is like the double. It'll say it in the center. And then I just scale it down, we're gonna shove it over here, which you can just click and drag anywhere. It's gonna move the little circle around. And then to hide the circle, it is it's just C. Shift C is gonna hide the whole thing. You can toggle it on and off, so if you just need it out of the way. And then Z will pop the... And these are default hotkeys. I usually don't change hotkeys. There's only one... Oh my god, you cats, stop fighting. Or you're not even the cats that were fighting earlier. I put one of them in the timeout room. Anyway, you can scale it up and down. You can also change the opacity. So if I want it lighter, like I don't really need to see it. Like if you have excellent eyesight and you don't need it to be so bright, lucky you. But also you can change it. I do Faces Assassin's Creed. Got him. There's other things you can do with this, like these green buttons. Like I have all this extra space over here. You can crop an image. The problem with the crop is that it takes from both sides, so it'll smush it together. So if I moved, it goes based off this green line, but I could just smash my whole. It takes effort, so I'm just gonna. You can either crop it in whatever 2D software you were using, or you can try to manually crop it in ZBrush. It's whatever, it is fine. Anyway, so I don't need the male model open, so I'm gonna just delete all this nonsense. So we'll use our female model. Now, one of the other things that I do is I preemptively make a bunch of clothes based off of all of the designs I made. So once I've decided on a race and a theme for that race, I go through and I make all of these 2D designs, and then I will make a block out version that has a bunch of the armors already kind of made. Like just really base single-sided, low geometry. Like I have all these different items that I just kind of, well, that's part of the body, that I just kind of made that I can reuse. And then I just kind of append them onto the new model. Hold on. So I'll take things from this model. Like normally, actually, I could just delete a bunch of stuff off of this one and save it as a copy, but I'm not going to do that. So I'll have, like, say I want these pants. She's got that style pant, so I'm going to take these. And we'll go down to append. And then I see the subtool that I want, and so then we add the pants in. She does have a belt, but it's not this. It's not the belt. It's not the belt that's in here, but I'm still going to take it anyway, because I can just repurpose it. And then she has bracers and footies. So let's find bracers. And then we'll append bracers in. They might not be these bracers, but at least it gets me started on something. And then she's got kind of like a... Let's zoom in a little bit. So it's almost like she has like this armor halter top on, and then like this part that's right in here, this part in her torso, like that almost feels like it might be a leathery thing. And then she's got fabric. But I already have like a halter shape, so I am going to append that one in. And then I'll probably end up making the sleeves and stuff later, but then she needs footies. And I have not made a hood, though I do have a hood from another model set that I'm probably gonna grab because I don't want to do it again. Let's see about... No, these are too high up. She doesn't have leg armor. She has foot armor or whatever. Though her pants do go lower. They go a little bit lower down her calf, so I'll have to adjust her pants. I think it was my artificer. You can't see the chat in the Well, Naz, what did you do? Alright, this is our artificer. I'm gonna grab this. What's the whole thing? Okay, well whatever, I'll just delete parts of it. There we go, and then I also want you don't have any. And we're just gonna delete this. You really aren't. Okay, so I deleted that. What else do I need? So I have footies. I'm gonna see if I can find a hood. Who has a hood on? The Ranger. My Persian Rangers. So I'm gonna open up an old model, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with reusing assets that you've already made. Or the Fox effect, I don't know. So here's my Ranger. I'm just gonna steal his hoodie. And I'm actually gonna put it in both this one, because I think I have another model that has a hood, even though their heads are like wildly large. Hold on, let me adjust it in here. Let me turn this hat off. So I'm just gonna take this hood and kind of I'll turn on symmetry, the X key. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, we're just gonna kind of mush this so that it is the right shape. I'm just using the move tool. And I kind of want it to be a little bit more structured, like not as baggy. So I probably will add paneling to this, but I just want to see this. I don't know what this vertex is doing, but there we go. Gotta calm it down. SMH your head? Why? About that. Okay, we're just mushing some geometry around to get a better shape, a more consistent shape. Because even though, you know, I make these models for 3D print, and geometry really doesn't matter. I can have this whole thing decimated. I could do the whole thing in Dynamesh. I can have 8,000 million geometry, and it really doesn't matter. But in order, I like to keep things low geometry in order to manipulate them easier, and also things look cleaner if you have uniform geometry. So I try to keep things as nice as I can where I can, even though it, like, in the, you know, in the great scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so anyway, we're keeping the stuff as uniform as possible. I don't know how much leeway I want to give it. Oh, one thing to keep in mind when you pull in a texture with Spotlight is it's gonna actually ruin a lot of things for you unless you turn Spotlight off, which I know sounds weird. That's a weird thing to say out loud. Let's see. I'm trying to find where to actually find this button that's not in my hotkeys. Because it's not in here. Oh, brush, samples, spotlight projection. What are you cats doing? Brush, samples, spotlight projection. Why is it here? Why? That makes actually no sense whatsoever. Okay, so spotlight projection is the weirdest freaking place ever. It's in brushes, under samples, and spotlight projection. If only I could upvote this guy more on Reddit. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to smooth something. I do want to kind of bring this out about. They're playing with the box. My brother bought some, like, big thing or whatever, like, it came in a big box, and he just, like, left it in the hall. And the cats, so now they're cat castle. Okay. So we have ourselves a cowl. And now we'll, I want to save this. Because this is my base file that has all of my clothing in it that I pull from. So I'm just going to go ahead and save over my old one. And then we'll go to the file that we're working on and we'll append it in. We'll append in the new version, this one. So I think we got everything that we're gonna get out of our base file. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. We're just gonna hit the delete all button. This closes out the subtool. Yeah, I'll leave that open for now. And we're also gonna delete him because we don't need any of this. So delete all of him. Okay. So let's see. I'm also open to suggestions for colors. We can go super edgy and go red and black, or we go black and gold, or black with black, or you know, black with shades of other black on it. We could do navies. I don't know. I think the first thing I want to do is kind of fix her torso area. So I'm actually going to hide the cowl right this second. And I'm also going to hide the belt. And I'm just going to adjust the halter here. I'm going to insert a loop with the Z-modeler tool. That's the default for edges, is insert. I'm going to hit spacebar and go to the mask section and select edge loop complete. And select mask, select the bottom loop. And then we'll turn off symmetry for a second. I'm going to center the gizmo. And we're going to slide it down. I think it's around here. It's at the high point of the, so yeah, it's right here, and then I need to move things around. So we're just gonna do some scaling here to make it kind of fit. And then I'm gonna turn symmetry back on. And unmask by hitting control and making a selection off to the side. Oh, I have move elastic selected on accident. I did not mean to do that. I was like, why is it moving every other thing? I don't want that. Alright, then we're just gonna shape this. It goes up and around the tail. Hey, what's going on? I'm just adding some loops with the Z-modeler brush. Okay, so now this is pretty close to that in the shape down here. Now I do have like there's some like piping going on. Suggestions I'm looking for is what kind of tutorials people might want. Because I would really like to do tutorials in the future that are more specific and that I make off stream and edit so that they're more coherent and thorough. And this is just kind of a way for me to A, get comfortable with YouTube, and B, already have like kind of a presence here, so it's not I don't want to say a shock because it wouldn't be, but already being comfortable with the platform is like a huge thing. like this blue color. It's like this nice, like a dusty blue? I don't know. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to go to our Z modeler brush, because I want to connect these 2 points here. And we're gonna hit spacebar on the edge. And we're gonna go to bridge. And I'm gonna click this edge and this edge. And this edge. And this edge. And we've made geometry here if I hide the model. So I'm going to insert a loop. Tutorial on why triangles are good. Yeah, triangles are pretty good. Oh yeah, like scaling miniatures in ZBrush to print correctly. Yeah, I might do a tutorial on scaling in ZBrush. Because there's a bunch of ways to do it. Okay, hold on. Hold on, I'm moving this around. And moving the gizmo, you just hit Alt and it unlocks. You see the lock button. Ah! Autosave, go away. The unlock icon looks like it's unlocked if you don't press the button. It goes back to lock. So I can move it around freely without it moving the geometry. If I don't hold Alt, it moves the geometry. So you can reposition your gizmo that way. Okay. So I have this more on the surface. I'm going to add 2 more loops, one here and one here. That just deleted stuff. And then we'll mask this still deleting stuff on accident. And then we'll move this out. Holding Alt. Yeah, I mean, I barely know how to do it, to be completely honest, Spoons. But it's been pretty effective, whatever I'm doing. So, there's like 8,000 ways to do scale in ZBrush though. Like there's the scale master plugin that you can use to automatically set scale of your scene, but I don't understand it, so I have developed a way around it to just use other tools. The only problem with the method that I have is that it's very reliant on having that ruler. So, you know, sometimes people might not want to download that, or they might want a different route. Okay, so we got these cute little shoulders. I'm trying to kind of square them off, because these are, when I drew them, to me, these little bits are kind of metally-ish. So, and then this part is, I want to put in an insert. We're going to insert a loop here, and we'll do another one. I'm making these very close, so we're also going to do that here. Have a couple of these. Yeah. always wonder how you know your ruler to scale. Okay, so the reason why the ruler is not ideal is because, like, to teach to people is you have to have another software in which you already know what the scale of that object is. But you could, in theory, use ZBrush to get the length of this ruler. So, like, this ruler is 200 units, right? And if I turn off the gizmo and I go back to the transpose line, and I draw out the transpose line, it'll actually tell you how many units in the top hand corner it is. And this is exactly 200 ZBrush units. The problem is that, like, it's really hard to the thing is so large, it's hard to figure that out. Like, it'll snap. So if it's snapped, this is 199.9979 units tall. And the thing is that this isn't necessarily 200 meters or 20 centimeters or, you know, it's not any of those things. It's just a representation of units. So you tell ZBrush how big this object is, and when you're exporting, it's exporting from based off of this subtool that you might have selected. And because it knows how big this subtool is, it exports based off of that. So because this ruler has the guideline, and I already know that this is exactly 200 units, I can go to 32 on the scale, and I know it ends up being 32. But ZBrush scale is down. So you would have to make a cube specifically that's, like, what a lot of people do is they'll make a cube that is the same size as their build plate, like the volume wise. Oh my god, Naz. They'll make a cube that's the same size as their build plate. Then that way they know exactly how big of an object they can make and fit on their printer at the same time. So that ends up being more convenient. So I might end up doing that as a tutorial instead of using the ruler in the tutorial. You're awake? Oh yeah? Are you? Are you awake? Alright, we're gonna go and crease some stuff. I'm gonna crease all these little edges I made, so I'm gonna hover over an edge, go to crease, go to edge loop complete, and we're just gonna crease all of these lines that I just added. And then we'll select an edge again and go to mask. And I'm just gonna mask the middle section. Not sure what you mean. So now that all those are selected, I'm gonna inverse, and I'm gonna get my gizmo back just by clicking on the gizmo 3D button. And we're gonna center this. I have symmetry off. Center this, and then I'm gonna hold down Control, and grabbing this yellow square, we're gonna kind of move in, and you'll see that the things that I have selected are all kind of moving inwards uniformly. And I have the creases on because if I turn on, like, the fake smoothing, it's gonna give us a nice, like, crease line. Like, it's gonna be a nice hard line there. I also need to crease these edges because they are not creased currently. But we're gonna switch it to edge loop partial. No, that didn't work. I don't want a crease here. Nobody wants this crease. Nobody wants you. Also didn't have... Just adding creases to things. Also didn't have symmetry on, of course. I'm gonna turn it back on. Okie dokie. Let's see. Also want to maybe move some of this around a little bit to make it rounder, so it goes over the fits over the shoulder a bit better. All right, this is missing a crease, and so is that. I think that was from when, yeah, that looks better. Okay. Normally I'd like to leave things single-sided geometry for as long as possible. So I will end up making this a solid object, but we're gonna just move on to the next part to get as much of this blocked out as we can in the next hour. Okay, so I think what I might end up doing, instead of trying to manipulate this item, I think I'm just gonna delete this belt and not duplicate it. We're gonna delete the belt. Imagine being able to click on the right button. Yeah, we're gonna delete the belt. I'm actually gonna duplicate the top here. Delete, duplicate. We're gonna solo this, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, it's already set to delete poly loop, like the default. So I'm just going to delete some poly loops. And if it's not there, if you just hover in the center of one of the faces and you hit space, it'll bring up the options for the polygon actions. You can go to delete and poly loop and do that. And I'm just deleting the geometry. Now what I'm going to do is I want to auto groups, and I have it in my menu, but you can find it in polygroup. If you go onto the side toolbox here, I'm sorry, I hit caps lock. And you go to polygroups, and then it's going to be, no, it's the very top one. I just went right past it. You hit auto group, and it's just going to take all your islands and group them. And I just want to delete, everything, because I'm basically just taking this section where the belt is and making it the belt. We're going to turn off symmetry and go to center. Oh, okay. And then I'm going to hold down control and the middle square button, and we're going to inflate this. I'm also going to add another, we're going to insert. So hovering over the edge, pressing spacebar, I'm going to go to insert, single edge loop, and add that in there. And then we'll, hovering over the edge, we're going to change it to crease, edge loop complete, and I'll get the tops and bottom. So now I have this. Now, I do things for 3D printing specifically, so a lot of the distances between like fabric and another object, so whether it's like the fabric from the skin or fabric from another piece of fabric, are often very exaggerated because the model I'm making is only going to be 32 millimeters, which is about 1.5 inches. So they're like this big, and you need to over exaggerate things in order to have them be readable when they're printed. I see a lot of beginners who are new to 3D printing, maybe not new to sculpting, and they'll just sculpt how they usually do, which is, you know, the model itself looks fine, but when you print it out, the details look muddy, and it's hard to see things, and I see a lot of that for people who are new to the field. So it's always just good to keep in mind, like, okay, well, you know, this distance on the belt here, like, there's like a huge gap right there, but like that's, you won't see it. You won't notice when it's like this big. Like if you decide to scale the model up past like 400% the size or whatever, for whatever reason, if you had that big of a printer and that much time and resin to waste, you would notice. But even like double the size, the exaggeration on things like pieces of clothing and armor isn't that noticeable when printed. Okay. Alright, so we have our belt. I'm gonna dynamic this. I don't... Maybe I want a more tropical blue. So these cats live in like a tropical area. I'm gonna make these pants like way darker. And this belt. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe not like that. I do think maybe it's too... Might be too exaggerated. I'll change it around later. Okay, so then the next bit, so I want to take these and pull them out a bit more, because there is gonna be, I want to make this, let's turn off dynamic for a second so I can get a better idea of this shape, because this is supposed to be a little bit more narrow in the front, like this chest area. It's supposed to be more narrow. So I'm just kind of sliding. Oh, there is a slide in the Z modeler tool, but it just, sometimes I use it, but it depends, it's like a circumstantial thing. Like if I need things to actually be exactly as they were, then yeah, I use the slide tool. But in this case, I'm like, it doesn't have to be, like, I'm not trying to maintain the original shape. I'm trying to actually change the shape. So I'm gonna just pull this out a bit so it's not in the skin. Here we go. And then I think the back is probably fine as far as shape goes. Okay. So then I don't know if we're going to make, so it seems like I drew squiggly lines for things and decided that that would be future Kawna's problem. So yeah, there's this area this area in here that I'm not sure what it was supposed to be. Like, I know this is fabric, and I'm like, well, maybe this is just a cuff, right? Like maybe it's like an elastic bit, but it could also be like a metally bit, but why would it be so close to the gauntlet? Unsure. So it could also be an extension of the gauntlet. Who knows? Who knows what I did? It could be anything, honestly. So I think We're gonna make the sleeve though. We'll make the sleeve. Let's get this out of the way. And yeah, I drew ill-defined squiggles and assumed I'd know what it was a month later. It's a copper cuff? Gross. Copper? Ugh. But like it could be a cuff, but also like why would it be so low right here? I would have put it like up here or something. If it was supposed to be a cuff. But then anyway, we're gonna just duplicate the body here. And turn out dynamic. I'm just gonna delete parts of this. I think maybe this. And we'll auto group. And I just want this. I'll delete, hidden. So now I have this really complicated piece of geometry. Let's get a better look at this cat. Oh yeah. Look at this cat. What a nice cat. Okay, so let's see about. So I'm gonna open up my geometry toolbox, which, by the way, if you hold shift while you click on any of the toolboxes, it'll keep all your other menus open. And same when you close them. Instead of opening them all or closing them all or whatever, you can have as many things open as you want. And okay, so but we're gonna go to zero mesh. So I'm gonna close these folders. Zero mesh, and I wanna freeze border. I think it's like better. Why? Okay. ZBrush. We're gonna just delete single poly here for a second. You know what I don't need? I actually don't need any of this. We don't need whatever is happening here. I don't need this in my life. I don't need this kind of stress in my life. ZBrush. It's auto group. I just want this thing. And what is this? ZBrush, what are you doing? Is this a game to you? Wow. Just wow. We're gonna get my gizmo over here. Turn off symmetry. And what is this? Nothing, that's what I thought. You know what, it would have been easier if I just, did this a different way. I think instead of using the base mesh as for the sleeve, what I'm gonna do is actually just draw it on here because I kind of need it to be a little deeper. than it is. Like an actual shirt. You know, like an actual shirt. Hold on, let me load back my basement. My base that has an actual shirt already on it. I also forgot I needed, we're just gonna take this shirt, which I've already done, and we're gonna append it in here. Get in there, shirt. And then I also need this cat face. Which is a boolean. And I want to apply... I could have swore that I've already done this, but we're gonna apply these subdivisions on to these two meshes because I'm gonna boolean them together. Also gonna divide them both one more time. I'm gonna make a boolean mesh here, which is gonna open up a whole new subtool with just this in it, and it's all one actual mesh now. And then we're gonna append this in. Turn off symmetry. And she's got this emblem on her chest area. I kind of like this bronzy yellow more than this golden one. So I'm going to use that instead. You know, I've had a headache for most of the day, and it's making this rather difficult. Where's my... Okay. So, let's... That's done. Oh yeah, sleeves. Sure. So I don't need any of this. Let's go to delete polyloop. And then we'll go to auto group, delete hidden. And I also want to delete all of that. Because really, increasing this, I just want the sleeves. Which these poofy sleeves kind of go halfway down. Then we're gonna mask these edges here at the end. And I need to turn on, I'm gonna turn on local symmetry here on the side. So that when I scale these in, it doesn't do weird stuff. Because it'll do weird stuff if you let it. All ZBrush wants to do is weird stuff. That's it. I'm gonna remask with this in mind. Kind of move it back a bit. And we're gonna crease this loop. but not this one. I am gonna put another insert in here. Not really sure what to do with this shape yet. I'm gonna leave it there. I might turn it into like a band thing later. Unsure, uncertain. Because I'm gonna mask this and this. And this one. It's kind of hard to make outfits in T-pose, because like I know her arms are gonna be like down or something like that, and definitely when I drew the model, like her, you know, her arms are down, so it makes it a little bit harder to preemptively model something. And you get that issue with basically any form of 3D modeling. Like if you're making for game or video or, I mean, film or, you know, whatever. The discrepancy between your concept and your base model are going to exist. Actually, I think it's a lot harder to make models off of art that wasn't that didn't ever had the intent of becoming 3D, right? Like it wasn't it was just art to be made for, you know, whatever the artist's intention was. And I don't know if I want this crease here. So like they just kind of draw it in whatever stylized way they want to. And it might not translate very well to 3D. And I'm gonna crease that though. Okay, but hold on. I just want this. We're gonna do edge to partial. I guess we'll just go to edge. And do this manually. It's the other reason I like working in low poly. Because if you have to go in and manually change something, it's not too many things you have to adjust. You know, it's like 5 or 6 geometry or whatever. Why is this creased? Like, why is there a crease here? What's that from? It looks like she's got like a cute little... Let me switch these colors around, because it looks like she's got a cute little apron on, and as adorable as that is, I don't know. Just make it like a gray-blue color, maybe, instead. This color just feels so green. Where's your little hat? Ugh. I think color is probably the thing I'm the worst at when it comes to this kind of stuff. Alright, we're gonna fix these boots, because these aren't the boots we're using. I just want this part. I just want this part. Now we're gonna turn on, we're gonna just hide all, hold on a second. We're gonna grab the lasso mask brush. I'm gonna hit Control W, that's gonna turn all that into one poly group. And I'm gonna delete it and hide it, delete it. And then I'm also going to delete the squiggles, because I don't want them right now. Alright, so we have this bracer, and I'm gonna move this. But I remembered I need another piece from here. Which I had these little hand covers that I made. And we're going to just append them in. Come on. Alright, but we're gonna Q mesh this. So I'll hit spacebar over one of the polygon faces. We're gonna go to Q mesh, and we're gonna go to all polygons, and that's gonna add thickness to all the polygons in the subtool. And you might notice it's inside out. If I turn on double-sided, it looks fine, so you gotta be careful about that. But yeah, I have flip on my UI. It just flips it for me. But you can find flip under, I think it's under geometry. It's under display properties in the menu, and double-sided and flip are both there. I don't know how that happened, but... Alright, I want to move this in here. turn on the... I can see what I'm doing, maybe. So I can maybe see what I'm doing. Move this geometry around and kind of tuck this in to the armor. Okay. It's gonna take me a while to figure out these colors so that they don't look awful, because, like, honestly, color plays such an important part of how we perceive how models look. We'll figure it out, maybe. Or we won't. That's also a possibility. Looks like I... Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. Alright, we'll turn on, smooth for this. And... we need to move her pants down. Which sounds weird to say out loud, but that's what we gotta do next. So I'm just gonna, we're gonna get the Z modeler and we're gonna mask some loops. And, alright. And then this part is gonna go down towards her knee, basically. We'll bend it a little bit. And I'm gonna switch my mask selection by holding control and clicking in the blank space. We're gonna move some geometry around to fit a little bit better now. And I'll kind of maybe slide this down a bit. We'll switch again. I'm going to turn off dynamic because, again, like, you know, if you have cleaner geometry, it's gonna look nicer. And right now, I don't really have that. So what I'm gonna do is just raise this back up. And I'm smoothing it out a little bit. Do not call me. Do not call me. Trying to call me. Don't they know? Don't they know I'm trying to stream? Okay. And I don't know what pose she's gonna be in yet, because sometimes, like, if I know what pose I'm going for, I might go ahead and add in a fold using the geometry instead of using like brushes, like adding subdivisions and adding brushes, brush strokes. For like cloth folds. So, but I don't know what pose. I haven't decided on it yet. I will know next time I work on this character. Well, I say that. I probably still won't, but you know, it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. We'll figure out a pose when we get there. Alright, so we got her footies a little bit longer. And kind of want to come over here. And I want to, no, it won't let me duplicate when it's hidden. We got a mask. I want to duplicate this plate piece. And I'm going to hold control and grab one of these white things and just drag out. And it has duplicated the thing. And we're gonna rotate this, shrink it down. Just want to pull this out a bit. We'll make this look like it's sharper. And then the one below it. And what I don't want though is a gap here. So I'm actually gonna turn on back face masking on my move brush. We're gonna just make this very large. And I'm gonna pull down. Very large. And I can maybe pull up a little bit. I don't want to make it too sharp right there. And then I also want to take, turn topological off. I just want to pull this out a little bit. I'm just kind of pulling the shape out to be a little bit more interesting than whatever I had. And I'm gonna make these braces this color as well, I think. I want to grab some circles so that I don't have to do circles again. I already have circles. This is our other character, Bard. Penned. None of them are this large. It's like she still has them, but let's auto group these. It's like she still has the medallion things, but they aren't. So I want to scale this, but I want it to stay the same relative, like, thickness. So I'm, instead of just, you know, grabbing the center and scaling it, because that'll change, you know, the thickness of it, I am going to hold down Alt and take the middle, which is the green one, and I'm going to scale it that way. So it's smaller, but it's the same thickness. I don't have symmetry on, so it's... Alright. And then we will grab... I'm gonna come back over here a second, because I want... First off, what's happening here? Why are you wiggly like this? Gotta turn on local symmetry to do this right. Just trying to make it an even line here. But also this. And then I'm gonna add in a loop here. And then we'll mask it. We'll pull it out. I might also could no, still not sure what I want to do with that area yet. Okay, so I think there is... We have to do her weapon. I still have to do... There's like a detailing on her skirt, which I might leave a load for right now because you know, I think I did this wrong. Yeah. On her top. Oh, maybe let me do this. Hold on, let me let me see if I can extrude this. Sure can. Oh, that's a mistake over there. Well, we can fix it. I'm gonna just extrude this out a little bit because I realize this needs to be the same like distance or whatever. Like it wasn't ever supposed to be. Hold on, I gotta stitch these together. First off, I'm gonna stitch. No, that's not where I want to stitch it. Right there. Get in there. And then we'll kind of move this up a bit so it's a bit more in line. And I will grab... Come on. Work with me here. Oh, I have backface mask on. My bad. We'll kind of move these in closer. I also need to move this up. Okay. And then this mess over here, whatever's happening here was a mistake. Uncertain. We'll stitch. Not that. See, modeler, we'll go to stitch these points together. Okay, I'm gonna turn off symmetry because it's. Thank you. Alright. Now I'm gonna smush these points in this way. And I can move that one. Alright, we'll mirror and weld without local on. Mirror and welding with local symmetry on can be fine, but a lot of the times it will it'll adjust something so that it's slightly smaller, slightly larger than you wanted it to be. And so if you're using local on a symmetrical item and you forgot about it, you might like turn your model back on and everything's kind of like shifted off to the side a little bit on one side. It's because of local symmetry. And because it's finding the local line of axis and for where to create the symmetry, as opposed to like this is the definitive world symmetry. Okay, first it looks a little bit more like armor. I'm not raising it up because her arms are probably going to be down. Like she's probably going to be doing some sort of pose where her arms are down and not up. So I think what we'll do is we're going to end with the weapon. I'm going to go ahead and make this Chris dagger and show you how I make weapons. And then we'll end it, and then next Friday we'll pick it up and finish this character. That'll probably be what the plan is. So to get the weapon, we're gonna box model it basically, and I want to append in. So I'm gonna go in the geometry or subtool and append in a plane, just a regular 3D plane. We're gonna solo. I'm just gonna make this like a more pleasant color. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to see. I'm just holding Control W and changing the poly groups. So we're gonna use our spotlight tool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically crop all this until I get my weapon mostly centered here. Zoom in a little bit. So we're cropping it. And again, to get the circle to show up, you hit C. And if you wanted to hide it and unhide it, like if it got hidden, it's Shift C. You can pop it back up. So anyway, well, we're grid centered here. I'm going to turn the floor on. I mean, I actually don't need symmetry on because this is not a symmetrical object, so but I'll have it on just, you know, for reference sake. Just for reference sake. And then we'll make this bigger. You don't want to make it too big from the your workspace here. So once you get it to the size you want, you're gonna find the opacity one, and you'll click and drag it till it's opaque enough for you to see it, but still be able to work on top of it. And then I hit Z to get rid of this spin dial. So I'm going to use the topology brush, which is the default brush in ZBrush. And I'm going to make it probably about 10 or so. I might change it. And we're going to actually use your tablet. This entire time I've just been using my mouse. I haven't drawn a thing. I haven't sculpted anything, technically. So we're just focusing on the blade, and I'm going to use the topology brush to make this blade. And I'm not going to worry about the tip of it because it just turns into a mess. Now we'll do the next side. Alright, and then I'm going to kind of cap off the blade, and I'll go to every high and low connection area to make some geometry. And then I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. So it's the way this brush works is there are orange and black dots, and they will snap in between the orange and black. So the thinner your geometry line is, the more finesse you can have with the tool. But it does make more wobbly lines. If you're familiar with any of the curve brushes in ZBrush, you'll already be familiar with how the stupid curve line works, which is dumb. I'm just drawing an extra line between all the curvy ones, and then I like to keep, like, you can set your brush size to whatever brush size you want and click off in space somewhere, and it'll give you a thickness relative to your brush size. But I like to work with single-sided geometry, so I turn it all the way to 1 and then click somewhere, and I get a single plane. So I'm going to split unmasked points. So now I have my squiggly, Mr. Squiggles here. All right. There we go. Here's a squiggly squiggle. And I'll probably adjust some of these lines in a little bit. So, but then next I want to make this handle and hilt. So we're gonna do the same thing. And getting used to this brush is probably the best thing I've done as far as working in ZBrush is concerned. Because it prevents me from having to go to another software to do box modeling. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. You don't... Just trying to figure out why. It's because I have a double loop right here. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and go to 1. And we're just gonna split on mask points. And then we'll make the handle. Which you could, you could just use like a cylinder for the handle. You could still manipulate a cube and, go, add as many loops as you wanted and then mask select all of those or whatever. But I think that's a lot more tedious for something like this. Oh, I actually need to create it and then we can split on mask points. Okay, so I have all my bits and pieces. I'm going to hide everything. So I'm going to hold down Shift and click on the subtool. And it turns off all of the eyes. And then I'm just gonna turn on the 3 things I care about. And I'm gonna move this over here. Oh, that's the wrong opacity. This opacity. Just gonna turn that back up. Alright, so we'll move this here. Okay. So I'm gonna put all of these in the same group. I'm just gonna merge them down. And they still have their own poly group, so it's fine. And then I'm gonna dynamic this because I wanna make these a little bit more emphasized. The squiggles. Because again, she's probably gonna have 2 of these, and I want to make sure that it's really noticeable that this is a squiggly blade. And the reason I wasn't concerned about the point at the end is because, like, again, small model, it's gonna look pointy even though it actually isn't. And while you could like spend time and like taper it really fine, you know, like it may or may not print, it might chip off, you know, that kind of stuff. It's if you've never 3D printed something before and you're getting into it, you're gonna have to probably experiment a lot with what you can and can't do with 3D printing really small objects. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my Z modeler, and we're gonna QMesh poly group all. And I'm gonna make this pretty thick. And I'm going to taper it, but I will do that later. We'll taper it a little bit. So then I'm gonna do the same thing, but for this one, but without attraction on. So if you go, this is the dumbest thing. If you are Q-meshing things, that by default it has normal attraction, like it's trying to attract and combine other geometry nearby. I do not know what that's used for or who wants that. So you gotta make sure to turn off no attraction, because then it'll just do dumb things. We're gonna auto group. Okay, so I'm gonna add in a loop. Insert a loop here and here and here, so that I can move these and I'll do it to the side. I'm okay with this not being exact on each side. That is fine to me. Probably not going to be seeing one side of it anyway. And I can always add in, if I want this to be a little bit more square, I can add in a loop here. I want to taper this part like this. And then we will QMesh poly group again. Probably like this. I do will mask the center line because I want to make this round. rounder-ish. And then we'll auto group. And I want to remove these creases. So I'm just going to remove these one. I can keep that top one maybe. And I'm going to crease this side and this side. And get that one and this one. Did that not crease? Yeah. Make the handle a little bit longer, just so that it's easier for my character to hold it. Not really, I don't really care too much about accuracy on that end. And then we're gonna go to our gizmo tool and first I'm gonna mask the handle and the hilt. And then we'll go to gizmo tool. And in the wheel, the gear on the end, there's a bunch of deformers hidden in here. And I want to do taper. And we'll go this way. I just want to put a little baby taper. Like, you could go really, you know, thin on it if that's the kind of character you're working on, but I don't want it to be that thin. Oh, you also have to hit the wheel again and hit accept. So here we have a dagger. An evil dagger. Why is this? Ah. And I'm gonna turn everything back on. I'm gonna get rid of this plane. We'll just delete it. We don't need the plane. So now we have a dagger. A beautiful dagger. That actually might... Well, maybe we'll make it green. Like they're poisoned. Green's the way to go. I think we might make her eyes green too. So she'll have two of these. And so there's also two sets of eyes in here, which because I couldn't decide which one I liked more. One's a little bit more cross-eyed than the other. Which I think looks kind of cute. But I think we'll delete these ones and use this one. And I want to frame this. I want to change your eye color real quick before we end the stream. So without having to like paint over again, there's a tool you can use called Color Adjust that allows you to let me turn on symmetry here. I'm masking off parts that I don't want to change. And then we're gonna go all the way down here to poly paint. And I want to hit adjust colors. And we'll frame it. You can't move this freaking window. And if somebody knows how, please let me know, because I hate that it's just like stuck over here. I don't know how to move it. But you can frame it. And you can adjust the color wheel. I think we'll just make them this nice green color. There's a whole bunch of other settings, which sometimes I use if I need different vibrancy or something like that. For some reason. Like if I want her eyes to be really green. Make them a little bit glowy. We'll hit OK. And so now her eyes are green and not blue. Which looks a lot better with her character. You can also, while you're in the wheel mode, you can Control Z to undo all the things you did. So if you just want to get back to looking at what the character is and all that stuff. So, anyway, I think next week we'll get more into detailing, so like her helm and her shoulders and the rest of her shirt and her gloves. Need some detailing on them. And but we'll get into that, and then we'll start posing. So if you're interested in learning how to pose characters in ZBrush and then prep them for 3D print, that will be next Friday. Until then, I also stream on Twitch under Kawna Minis, so if you're looking to see more of my work and you want a more casual hangout, if you want to ask me questions live, you can always go on Twitch and ask me there. I do want to do actual constructed, edited tutorials, so if you want to know anything specific, please leave a comment about anything specific that you want to learn in ZBrush specifically. I do know other software, but I'm not going to be making videos on other software. But if you have just any questions, leave them in the comments below. Please drop a follow if you enjoyed this video. Anyway, again, I stream weekdays on Twitch, which you can find in the somewhere on my channel. There's a button that goes there. And then I will be here next Friday, and we will finish up this character. So thank you for stopping by, and I will chat with all of you soon.